Let us explore ways to avoid falling asleep during meditation. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. The question begins: trouble getting started due to drowsiness. I have really wanted to get into meditation. I gave it realistically probably 5 to 6 solid tries. Seems like every time I do it, I fall asleep. I'm the type of person who can fall asleep any place, anytime. I don't have that condition. I am exaggerating. I apologize if I offended anyone. And so I've done it at night, done it in the morning, or midday, all with the same result. So first off, I respect your enthusiasm and your effort. Good on you. Let's continue. I've tried guided meditation and just raw dogging it myself. For the OGs out there, raw dogging it is a old term applied to a new practice of just sitting there gutting it out. How can you combat the sleepiness with the stillness? When I go in, I try to, so let's start right there. So you can't. The path of fighting, the path of indulging our controlling tendencies is exhausting, and in time could force us to present with symptoms of depression. So let's not do that. When I go in, I try to clear my mind, and once my mind is clear and I focus on the breathing, the Z monster shows up and I try to fight it off, but then I remember. I'm now focusing on something else rather than clearing my head. Okay, so clearly you've received some advice, perhaps from a book, perhaps from a teacher. Regardless of the popularity of this piece of advice, it is not our job to clear our head. Clearing our head is indulging our controlling tendencies, and it could actually result in us repressing our experiences. The first of 7 enlightenment factors is mindfulness. We are to be completely vulnerable to whatever we experience, whether that which we experience is a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, a scent, or the like. Whether that which we experience is an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining. We are to be completely vulnerable to our experience, even if our experience ranges from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Our job is to be vulnerable to that. So the moment we start trying to clear our mind, we are accessing our prefrontal cortex, we are stimulating our amygdala, the seat of aggression and anxiety, and we are sprinting down the road of exhaustion. Whether we know it or not, we're sprinting down the road leading to exhaustion. I should have said that. That would have been better. So, why is there so much confusion when it comes to meditation? Well, it comes down to Sturgeon's Law, which reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. And that includes meditation teachers. I kid you not, there are meditation teachers who preach the gospel, at least in their mind, of being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. That, to paraphrase Trinity addressing Neo in the first Matrix movie, you've been on that road before, Neo. You know where it goes. The 10% choose to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. So by being flexible and vulnerable and laid back, we are traversing the path of enlightenment itself, which is amazing. So rather than just me blathering on, I'd like to, well, before we even get into the neuroscience of it all, I got to tell you this. If you are drowsy all the time, it may be worth conferring with a physician that you respect. If you don't have one, in the description area below the video, there's a link for pcrm.org Find a Doctor. The service is free. They'll help you find a physician whose continuing education has been emphasizing lifestyle therapies. So, I just got to do my due diligence and mention that to you. Having said that, there are lifestyle therapies we can apply in our own life. Forgive me if I'm insulting your intelligence. That's not my intention. But getting enough sleep. I read that the sleep we get before 12 is the most valuable sleep we get. Getting enough fresh air, sunshine, exercise, recreation, quality time with people who love you. These things are profoundly important. Consuming enough whole food vegan fare is important. It's the World Health Organization insists that a well-planned vegan diet is optimal for all stages of human development. So it really, really helps. There's probably a reason why the majority of contemplative luminaries have been vegans. So let's talk about the mechanics of meditation. Oh yes, by the way, if you're planning on meditating for an hour, what you might want to do is just plan on breaks. For instance, at the first minute, at the 15th minute, at the 30th minute, at the 45th minute, stop the meditation and do something stimulating. Maybe percussive chanting, maybe Buddha bowing, Tibetan style. These things are wonderfully stimulating. And of course, there's always brisk walking meditation to do for the entirety of your meditation session. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. If you're prone to drowsiness, I do not recommend closing your eyes in meditation, nor opening them wide. Relax your eyes and let your gaze rest on the horizon. Although you might not be able to see the horizon, eye level is good. Focusing down may be too sedating for you. If you are a neurotype that has difficulty generating and utilizing and holding on to dopamine, that could exhaust you. So dividing your meditation into 4 little segments can really, really help. It's helped me a great deal. So let's look at meditation through the lens of neuroscience. Those who are rigid and controlling implore their students to actively concentrate and actively analyze. The only way to do that is by utilizing discrete mechanisms in our brain, such as those found in the medial prefrontal cortex or the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is awesome if you want to compare or contrast or analyze or calculate or edit. It's fabulous. But like a Stradivarius, it's high-strung and is easily overworked. When we overwork our prefrontal cortex, it's going to stimulate our amygdala, this thing here that kind of looks like a pea. This thing is the seat of aggression and anxiety. Things that will undermine, not only undermine our meditation, but exhaust us. So much so that if left unheeded, if we continue to overwork our prefrontal cortex by trying to control our contemplative experience, we could begin presenting with symptoms of depression, which I wouldn't recommend. Why, just today, I was watching a series of videos with my partner on YouTube, and one of them was just emotionally overwhelming. It was dealing with facts, but in a very, very overwhelming way, and I started getting super drowsy. We switched to another video, and I woke back up. So, an emotional burden can be fatiguing. Now that we've figured out that the prefrontal cortex is not the key to sustainable meditation, let's discover which parts of the central nervous system are. The Buddha taught an eightfold path. The sevenfold pertained to mindfulness. Hey, Jay. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. What are we to do with all that which we perceive? Simple. This brings us to meditation, the eightfold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. For every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system found in the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us both physically relax as well as mentally release. Now, you might be saying, dude, if I was any more relaxed, I would slip into a coma, in the words of Garfield. But ironically, the mismanagement of physical stress and emotional stress can exacerbate our fatigue. And so, oddly and weirdly enough, physical relaxation and mental release can help us to sidestep lethargy. It's weird. And I don't want you to believe me on this. I want you to experiment with me. So together as a team, let us experiment with these techniques after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism, each school of meditation, so that you won't have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let's play with the latest iteration of Heart of Meditation, Sadhana, our practice text. Let's begin by setting intention through chanting love and releases, wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. Please chant with me. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. So Jared joined us. Hey Jared. Jared wrote, let me see over here real quick. I'm going to tap button 8. Whoopsie, that's not it. That's not it at all. Button 8. Window capture. Aha, there we go. So, Jared wrote, I believe you said, if I came to tonight's episode, you'd tell me what you thought of my movie suggestion. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. My partner wasn't up to it last night, so we didn't watch it, but I have seen that movie before, and I really enjoyed it. It broke my heart in all the right places. Truthfully, I'll tell you the truth, I've lived with partners, I've lived without partners, and I'd rather... So, when you live by yourself, there's no compromise, but there's a whole lot of solitude, a whole lot of loneliness. You live with a partner, there is compromise, but there's no loneliness. I prefer the second to the former. How about you? So I'm going to tap button 9 and get back to the practice. Please chant with me. Let's chant the first quarter of the Heart of Wisdom Sutra percussively at the level of your chest. It is in that one chi and busa and archetype of love and letting go, while moving in the deep peace of the perfect understanding of awareness and release. Shed light on the 5 aggregates and found them equally empty. After this realization, she made peace with all pain. Listen, Shariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. What do we mean by emptiness? Emptiness is a figure of speech. Let's look at this literally. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever form or body we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel a little bit less graspable, a little bit less permanent, a little bit less defining. Now, let's look at that figuratively. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever body we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, any high school English teacher could remind us that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. So, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky, a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the hand. That's it. That's all emptiness is. It is a figure of speech to describe a momentary experience had while relaxing into one's exhalation. Let's continue. The same is true with feeling, appraisal, impulse, and awareness. And now, let's practice. To keep track of the first quarter of this evening's meditation and to gently invite our subtle energies to gather at the crown of our head, let us find the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger and gently set it upon the tip of the left index finger in our lap. Let us now Let us now count 144 breaths, which is quite simply 12 sets of 12 rounds. Let us begin by counting 12 rounds of this ease on our right hand, beginning with our index finger. So you learn how to count rounds or repetitions on the creases of your right hand. On the creases of your left hand, you can count sets. First set, second set, third set, fourth set, fifth set, sixth set, and the like. All the while, resting the great knuckle at the base of your right index finger upon the tip of your left index finger. Now, if this sounds overwhelming, that's okay. Play with this nonetheless once every 12 hours for a week or so before passing judgment. Take a moment to snap your hands over your head. please chant with me. Golf clapping, percussively chanting at the level of the heart. Listen, Shari Pundra Abhinamina are marked with emptiness. They are neither produced nor destroyed, neither corrupted nor purified, neither increasing nor decreasing. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse, and no awareness that once perceived cannot be released. No sensation, no flavor, no scent, no sound, no sight, no phenomena that once perceived cannot be released. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind that once perceived cannot be released. No feeling, no tasting, no smelling, no hearing, no seeing, no noticing that once perceived cannot be released. Let us keep track of our second set of 144 breaths by gingerly resting the great knuckle at the base of our right ring middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger. This will also gently coalesce our subtle energies at towards our chest or at our chest. together as a team, let us percussively chant the third quarter of the Heart of Wisdom Sutra, performing a golf clap at each syllable while holding our hands at the level of our navel. No interdependent origins and no extinction of them, from confusion to aging and death that once perceived cannot be released. No stress, no confusion, no liberation, no path, no understanding, no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. Because there is no attainment that once perceived cannot be released, the Bodhisattva archetypes of awareness and release supported by perception and releases perfection of understanding, find no obstacles for the minds that once perceived cannot be released. Having no obstacles that once perceived cannot be released, they transcend the tyranny of fear, liberating themselves forever from the tyranny of illusion and realizing perfect nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future things do this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing, arrive at full right and universal enlightenment. So, if you've just joined me, allow me to refresh your memory. The most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during the inhalation, that you might facilitate greater perception. Perception that is vulnerable, passive, visceral, random, and fleeting. Likewise, the most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during the exhalation, that we might better facilitate physical relaxation and mental release. Let us now that we've come to the third portion of this evening's meditation, let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of the left ring finger. On our right hand, we can count rounds, 12 rounds, advancing our thumb during each inhalation. And then on our left hand, we can count sets. First set, second set, third set. And the key with the hands is to always start with the index finger and work your way towards the little finger. And if this sounds complicated, play with it once every 12 hours for a week or so before passing judgment. We now come to, let us now chant the final quarter of the Heart of Wisdom Sutra. Let us chant it percussively, performing a golf clap before our lower abdomen. Therefore, one should know that this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing is like a great mantra, is like an unequal mantra. The destroyer of the tyranny of all suffering, the incorruptible truth. A mantra of prajna paramita's perfect wisdom of awareness and release could therefore be proclaimed. This is the mantra gate gate para samgate buddhi swaha. Gone completely and perfectly gone to enlightenment, may it be so. As we inhale silently, mentally, and passively, we could recite the demonstrative pronoun this that we might better perceive. As we exhale, we could silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease that we might better release. Since this is our fourth quarter, let us gingerly rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of the left little finger with our hands in our lap. Let us seal the practice by chanting love and releases wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.